An error occurred. Wait a minute and try again. Oh,
I've got green check marks except for X.
yeah, same. X doesn't want to go. All right, let's just keep going
Yep.
because it looks like we're good on YouTube. All right. Do. Let me get back to the window I was looking at. Welcome back to Silicon Scoop. With me, as always, is my co host, John Irwin. And today we've got a number of topics to talk about. And kicking it off is another terms of service rhetoric that we need to take a look at. When you upload your creative content to CapCut, you might think you're just using a free video editing tool, but hidden within the CapCut terms of service are clauses that could significantly impact your rights as a creator. Understanding these terms isn't just about legal jargon, it's about protecting your creative work, your privacy, and your financial interests. CapCut terms of service contain provisions about the content ownership that might surprise you. These agreements also raise various serious concerns about privacy concerns that every user should know about. What's going on here, John?
Yeah. Like you would think that these companies would learn from the mess ups of other big companies like Adobe and whatnot. And I think did Adobe change their EULA or their terms of service? I can't remember, but
I don't think so.
okay. So maybe they don't need to learn. But anyways, this is nuts. So CapCut's new terms, they require users to grant them an unconditional, irrevocable, royal-free worldwide license to use, alter, and distribute any content uploaded to its platform. So this license is perpetual, which means it lasts forever. So even this is the crazy thing. Even if you delete your account or stop using the service, they will still use everything. They'll keep it all, they'll archive it. CapCut can use your videos, your images, your audio, even your likeness for any purpose, including advertising or training AI models without compensating you or seeking further permission. Sounds like you've heard this before, right, Craig?
Yeah, this sounds exactly like what Adobe was doing and many of the other people we've talked about in the past. And it's crazy that this keeps happening. You know, um, when they want to hold you accountable for all sorts of stuff, but then they want to go do whatever they want with your data, with what have you. We're starting to see a lot of pushback in that area, not just from consumers, but from companies. So we'll have to see what happens. I don't know if you've been following. Universal has joined Walt Disney in suing Midjourney.
Yes. Yeah. There's a bunch of them suing Midjourney.
Yeah, and so there's a couple of reasons why they're doing that. I think one is it's the low hanging fruit. They're doing that because Midjourney is worth only a couple $100 million, or they only have that kind of money, and they don't have the legal defense that someone like Grok does, and Grok allows everything.
Yeah.
So it'll be a potentially easier one because they won't be able to mount the same defense, and that sets a precedent so they can go after other people. So
So
it's interesting.
speaking
But
of the legal ramifications, did you see what is so messed up in their terms of service?
CapCuts?
Yeah.
No, keep going.
If a third party sues CapCut because of your content, even if the claim is unfounded, you are responsible for covering their legal costs.
Yeah, that's why. I mean, it's just crazy. Like there you go. You cover CapCut's legal expenses,
Yeah.
so they get to do whatever they want with all your stuff, and if they get in trouble for using your stuff, you have to pay all their legal fees.
Yeah. Yeah. And
So
any feedback or suggestions you provide CapCut become their property forever, which, okay, makes sense. But they can use your ideas for new features or improvements without crediting or compensating you in any way.
well, I mean, some of this
That
is
makes
probably natural protection,
Yeah.
right? You go into like as a developer, you collect all your comments, the feedbacks, you go into Reddit, you take a look, and you say, okay, what's everyone complaining about? What do we really need to fix? What's working great? What do they love? So you're saying, oh, we can't do that anymore. What do you mean? Like you can't take user feedback and and I have to go back and figure out who first put out that segment, who said first, maybe I should have a capitalized font here. I got, come on. I think that
Yeah.
becomes a little bit ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I'm on the side of companies on that, because they're more and more being sued for crazy things, and they want to protect themselves at some level.
Yeah.
And I get that, because some of this stuff is ridiculous. Talk to customers, customer give you feedback, you're going to go use that feedback. You don't want, you want to make sure the customer doesn't sue you because they gave you that feedback. You were in the meeting, you were all there, you went and use that wait a minute, I didn't say you could do something with what I told you. So
Yeah.
that just sounds crazy. But the stuff like everything you do, like you just do a quick video edit, quick add captions, quick whatever. I don't use CapCut anymore. I used to for a while, but I've got other tools that just work so much better.
Yeah.
And
But the last part that I guess it just because of this might not be as crazy, but because it's part of all this, this is just adding to the fire. But CapCut can change its pricing, features, or service plans at any time. And if you continue to use the platform after a change, you are considered to have accepted the new terms, even if they significantly worsen your deal, which means unlimited plans can become limited and paid features can be removed or altered at their discretion. Does that seem crazy, or just because it's all part of this? I don't know.
It's all crazy. Like, even their refund policy, right?
Yeah.
The refund policy expires after very minimum use. Like, if you do a 14-day trial of the premium, for example, that can be one premium using one premium feature may eliminate any refund eligibility. So you say, I'm going to try this premium CapCut, and I'm going to, I don't know, because I've got this, I'm going to add premium captions to one video. Oh, that's kind of cool, but it's not really what I want. No, thank you. No, sorry, you used the captions once, where you have to pay. You can't get your money back. Like, what? So stuff like that is extreme.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know what's going on the other side, from how many people are asking for refunds for no reason, or going in there using all sorts of features, or like putting in, I don't know, an hour-long file using the captions. Then when they use up all their credits, sign up another account and start again. If this is happening all the time, they have to take some sort of steps to prevent that. But this isn't the answer.
No, this is just another crazy one. So I'm curious as to what other alternatives there are out there. I didn't look into that, but I'm sure people are going to start looking. I'm hoping that they lose money over this. I'm hoping that people cancel, but it is a good platform as far as the features. So, but I do hope people. I hope they lose a crap load of money from this, but they probably
they started really cutting down on some of the stuff you could use for free. Like stuff I was able to use, they just started taking away. I'm like, so that's when I moved away. But it's owned by ByteDance, right? So
okay.
Understanding ByteDance data policy is crucial, because CapCut operates under oversight of the Chinese technology giant. The parent company's approach to data handling directly influences how CapCut can manage user information. So this takes another twist when you say, okay, it's not just, American companies saying we have rights to do with whatever you want. Now it's owned by the Chinese government, basically, and ByteDance with the Chinese company say, well, we're going to do whatever we want, and there's nothing you can do about it. And we start to get a little bit more concerned around that. So take a look at the agreement yourself. Where this is really concerning, the unilateral term changes. CapCut may alter their service plans, pricing, and features without consent at any time. Means just you using the platform for a minute after they're making these changes without even you knowing it means you agree, and off you go. So like, it's crazy. We have to kind of take a step back and say there is a middle ground here, that allows the users to have more control over their privacy and assets and what's being done, and also gives the companies a lot more protection from fraud potentially, or abuse, which might be part of what's happening here.
Yeah, I'm just glad they didn't add a clause that if someone dies while using their software, that you can't sue.
Yeah. I mean, I understand people put up, say, hey, whatever you put up here, we're going to run our AI against. So, I'll throw that in my clause just to say, because we're training all our stuff and everything up here. We're not going to say we own it. We're not going to say but for training purposes, we're going to use it. And like people will argue with that, but at least it's, honest and realistic versus this stuff. Say, no, we own it. We can do it. We're going to take it, copy it, sell it, do whatever we want.
Yeah.
So let us know what you think. Is this kind of thing out from CapCut going to change your view of the company, get you to stop using it, get you to use other things? I mentioned I use other things, but I actually use command line tools now, like FFmpeg, to do most of the stuff I'm doing, to add captions, videos, other things, bumpers, audio, that kind of stuff now. And it works amazing. You should try it. But what will you change to? Are you is Adobe Premiere in your future, but their stuff is just as bad? What other tools are out there? Let us know what your thoughts are, and what you think about this CapCut terms of service. Oh, I didn't even have the banner up for that. Scientists have created a groundbreaking stretchable battery that feels like toothpaste and could change how we power devices forever. This flexible battery technology uses fluid electrodes that make the entire system soft and bendable. The stretchable battery represents a major leap forward in power solutions. It opens the door for next generation wearable device power, a soft robotics battery system, comfortable battery applications, and even innovative ligand battery designs.
Ligand, I think.
Yeah. Researchers.
Lignin. There's two ends. Yeah.
Researchers at Linköping University Laboratories of Organic Electronics published their findings in April of 2025, and their work shows that the amazing results could transform multiple industries. What's going on here, John?
Yeah, this is cool. So let's just talk about traditional batteries first, and why this is cool. So traditional batteries are rigid, and they're rigid because of their electrodes, which is the parts that store and release energy. And the electrodes are made from solid materials, right? And so that's why all these batteries are rigid. Some are a little flexible, but most aren't. But and it's all because of the materials that are used in the electrodes. So the team at Linköping University in Sweden, and I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong because of the two dots over the O, they tackled this by creating fluid electrodes, which is a mixture of conductive plastics, which is conjugated polymers, and lignin. That's how you pronounce it. I'm pretty sure, but I could be wrong, and feel free to destroy me in the comments. Which is a natural byproduct of paper production. So this is cool. They're not having to use rare earth metals or anything like that. So the way this works is the materials are suspended in a liquid electrolyte, and they form a paste-like substance that can flow, stretch, and be molded into any shape, much like toothpaste. So the other cool thing is that the battery's terminals are made from nano graphite and silver nanowires, which are tiny and flexible enough to maintain electrical contact even as the battery bends and stretches. This is super cool. The other cool part about it is that the battery can be recharged and discharged over 500 times while maintaining its performance, and can be stretched to twice its original length without losing power. This is cool. And just so that you guys understand, this, the 500 times is pretty significant. A lot of you'll notice the batteries that you're using, as you recharge them and discharge them over time, they degrade. So in the prototype phase for this, they're achieving 500 times, which is pretty good. I'm curious to this is great. Like this is what we need, especially for those smartwatches and different things like that. What do you think about this, Craig?
Yeah, I mean, it's not super powerful yet.
No.
Obviously, then being a 0.9 volt is a little less than your double A.
Yeah.
So I think it's very interesting. I think we're unfortunately a little ways away from using this and stuff, but when you can start using it on medical devices that are attached to the body, for example, that can bend with you and move with you and stuff, so that it's not as rigid. When we can start to take control of our designs, I feel in the past we've been limited by battery shape and size on what our devices can look like. And I think that will change when we get these things are powerful. Like Apple changed the game when they basically they poured the battery into the molding the way they kind of did it. And then it hardens kind of into place in the MacBooks, which is why they were able to do stuff with the battery. When everyone can do this with like a toothpaste style battery, you're going to get some really interesting designs that I think are going to take ergonomics to the next level. What do you think about that?
Yeah, well, you've got flexible screens, right?
Yep.
And a lot of well, obviously the PCB boards are rigid, so we're gonna have to get around that. But for the most part, this enables more flexible, cool, maybe more innovative designs when it comes to phones. Um, just so much potential here, and yeah, because this is a new technology, the energy density is not there, but I think it will be. I'm hoping it will be, because this is great for a lot of industries, especially the electronics industry.
Yeah, I start thinking about pacemakers, hearing aids, even insulin pumps represent breakthrough application that would allow some very interesting things without wearing rigid batteries for discomfort. Smart clothing becomes truly smart. We can now have battery power that kind of moves with you with clothing. E-textiles can now include power sources, including some of those stretch and stuff. We had batteries that kind of charge while you're moving. Be interesting. And comfortable skin patches now are a possibility for health monitoring because they mold with you. Soft robotics, robotic assistance, and manufacturing robotics say new capabilities with stretchable electronics. As they build a robot, they can fill whatever spaces they have potentially with batteries. But there's a lot of challenges because voltage limitations and safety considerations. The material safety remains a priority, especially for medical device battery applications. The fluid design requires biocompatible materials for human contact. So scientists investigating non-toxic electrolytes that maintain performance while ensuring user safety. So we'll see how this goes, but yeah, definitely have some safety concerns and obvious voltage limitations, but it's new as research teams explore sustainable chemicals like zinc manganese oxide to boost voltage output. These materials could double or triple the voltage capabilities.
Yeah, I don't think there's concern for this exploding, because they're using materials that are more stable, right?
Yeah, it's not so much exploding. It's just that some of the electrolytes and stuff might be toxic to the human skin. So they're trying to change it so that like it wouldn't, if it burst, it wouldn't burn your skin or cause any problems with that.
Yeah.
If you're using it there or an internal device or what have you. So the research aims for a 3-volt system suitable for smartphone applications. So they're talking about scaling up requires new manufacturing methods. Traditional battery assemblies won't work for fluid-based designs. And the Lingen battery chemistry shows promise for higher energy densities. Improvements could make this technology viable for laptops.
Yeah. This is I love this. This is cool. But this just enables like e-textiles, soft robotics, a whole bunch of things. So yeah.
So when are we going to see this, John? The inevitable. I'm trying to see if I made some notes on here. I thought I saw 2030, but did we see something before then?
I didn't see anything in the article. I might have missed it, but given where they're at, so like as far as commercial use for smaller voltage or amperage drawing devices, I could say the next 2-3 years. But as far as in our cell phones, 5 to 10.
So let us know what you think. Is this toothpaste battery something of the future, or is this, just another flash in the pan with all these battery technologies, and we're not really going to see this? We'd love to hear your feedback on whether this technology will be incorporated soon.
Yeah.
A metal-free motor represents a complete paradigm shift in electric motor construction. Unlike traditional designs that rely on copper or aluminum windings, these revolutionary motors use carbon nanotubes, materials for all electrical coils and windings. This fundamental change eliminates the need for any metallic components in the motor's electrical systems. Traditional copper motors face significant limitations in modern applications. Copper's high density of 8.9 grams per centimeter creates substantial weight penalties, particularly in critical electrical vehicles or in aerospace systems. Performance bottlenecks emerge from copper's thermal expansion characteristics and corrosion susceptibility over time. So the KIST research team's breakthrough represents years of dedicated engineering. Their fully functional motor was successfully demonstrated in a model car, achieving a consistent RPM control and speeds of greater than half a mile per second. Sorry, half a meter per second. Half a mile per second. That'd be fast. Yeah. Half a meter per second. This wasn't just a laboratory proof of concept. It was a working motor system that could power real applications. But let's face it, it's slow. What's going on here, John?
Yeah. So first off, I really hope that Christian von Koenigsegg looks at this and starts to figure out how to create, because his dark motor is the best EV motor out there right now, right? 800 horsepower at, I can't remember what it was, but like ridiculously lightweight. But think about what he could do with this. So, sorry, let's dive into this. So, like you said, traditional electric motors, they rely on copper or aluminum coils to generate the magnetic fields and produce motion. So, what the KIST did, Korea Institute of Science and Technology in South Korea, they use carbon nanotubes, so it's lightweight, and they're produced using a process called LAST, which you talked about. So that aligns the nanotubes and removes metal impurities left over from the manufacturing. So I can't remember what the weight was, but it is like, so yeah. So they demonstrated this in a small model car where the coils weighed just 78.75 milligrams compared to, here it is, 379.08 milligrams for copper. And so, like you said, it powered it to 0.52 meters per second and ran continuously for 60 minutes. The maximum speed at 33,420 RPM was still much lower than a copper equivalent at 18,120 RPM. But that's mainly due to lower conductivity. So on a weight-adjusted basis, the performance gap would shrink. And the CNT motor's specific rotational velocity was only about 6% lower than copper's, which makes it competitive where weight is the top priority, such as like maybe aerospace or drones or even racing. Now, the other thing to think about too is that CNT wire is much more expensive. So we're talking about $375 to $500 per kilogram, whereas copper is about $10 to $11 per kilogram. And the engineers would have to redesign the motors from scratch to take full advantage of the new material. But hey, like, engineers have to redesign things from scratch all the time. Like, I think this is a revolutionary technology. What are your thoughts?
when it gets there. So
Yeah,
I agree. This looks like we're getting somewhere. I mean, there's a lot of benefit to carbon nanotubes, and the cost has to do with the manufacturing process. So hopefully, as you know, we get into that, it'll the price will go down. But the density from the for the carbon nanotube motors, carbon nanotube is 1.7 gram per centimeter compared to 8.9 grams per centimeter. I mean, it's an 80% reduction in weight.
yeah,
So it's significant. However, you know, if you're not getting the performance, then it's the whole system's going to suffer. So we really got to take it up a bit. But carbon nanotubes possess electrical conductivity superior to copper while maintaining a mechanical strength 100 times greater than steel. So the carbon nanotube motor leverages these exceptional properties by replacing traditional copper windings with a carefully engineered carbon nanotube coil. So ideally, these things would last way longer than what happens with the corrosion and the heat and whatnot with the copper that is currently used.
yeah. Um, yeah, it's and like you said, it's energy intensive. It produces hazardous byproducts, but I think that this is a great step in the right direction for developing. Because let's be real, electric motors, the way that they've been designed now, have been around what since the 30s, 20s, sorry, and I mean 1920s, not 2020. Yeah, so it's time for a redesign, which is great.
Yeah, and like they have been around, but people like Conan Zinc, like you mentioned, in their dark matter engine or
Yeah,
motor, really have changed the game for some of this, where it does
absolutely.
6 sets of magnets rather than 3 or something. We'd have to go back and look at that. That episode was over, well over 100
Yeah.
episodes ago. I really like what's happening here. I just don't know if we're going to get the price and power to the level we need it to be.
I think we will, because and the reason I think that is because there's so much research and development going into producing carbon nanotubes, that they're going to reach a threshold at some point, that the production is going to reduce. The cost of production is going to reduce, but we're not there yet. No.
Yeah, and I think we'll see it in aerospace and high expensive applications, and then it'll eventually drive down the price so that we'll start to see it. But
Yeah.
you know, Elon Musk and Amazon and Bezos and all the folks will be putting this in the rockets because it might be worth it to make these things that are durable, better, longer lasting, don't heat up as much, and way lighter in things like satellites.
Yeah.
So carbon nanotubes may be the future of power and non-metallic engines. And I guess with engines, metal being a substance that is, you know, limited on Earth, how do we make carbon nanotubes? And is that something that is just as limited? Because it's made of sheets of graphene that are pressed, right?
Yeah. Oh
And we
yeah.
can
Sorry. Go ahead.
make that out of almost anything nowadays. What is graphene made of?
Oh, I can't remember.
But it's getting cheaper and cheaper. So I think it'll be interesting to see. Yeah, sorry we didn't. I'm throwing those questions at you.
No. Yeah,
And
well, sorry, I was going to say this. I just checked it. It's made from carbon atoms.
yeah,
That's what coffee. Yeah, yeah. Sorry, it's made from pure carbon.
which is
I didn't want to say something and then get destroyed in the comments. So I just wanted to
yeah,
make sure. But like, I had a brain fart there. Yeah, graphene is made from carbon, hence carbon nanotubes.
yeah, and exactly. So it's easy to find, easy to get your
Yeah,
hands
there's an
on. It's just
abundance of it. Yeah.
expensive to process and get it to this level. So I'd love to know what you think. Are we going to be changing electric and aluminum motors soon from copper coils to carbon nanotube coils? And are you looking forward to this? A non-metallic engine motor, and what does that mean for the future of drones, electric vehicles, aerospace, and other electronics in your home? We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah.
OpenAI and the AI world is always releasing new stuff, but I think just this week they've just announced what they're calling Chat GPT 2025, and it's the race for super intelligence and a super assistant that will take and do things for you. What is AI? What is the OpenAI talking about here, John?
Yeah. So I it's still kind of I don't fully understand what they're like. Okay, so this sounds like it's an AI agent, right? So what they're planning to turn ChatGPT into is essentially a super assistant, which is a smart digital helper that knows you, it understands what you care about, and can help with almost any task, from organizing your calendar to finding the best restaurant. So it's much more than a chatbot. It's going to act like your main gateway to the internet, which helps you to manage daily life in ways we've never seen before. Now, we see all these websites, you and I, all the time, with all these solutions that are that leverage these AIs, these LLMs. I think ChatGPT is just jumping on that and just making it kind of OEM from them, right? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, the concept of a ChatGPT super assistant represents a fundamental shift from traditional AI tools to intelligent, proactive digital companions that seamlessly integrate into every aspect of our digital lives. This transformation embodies OpenAI's vision of creating the ultimate AI interface to the internet, a single intelligent gateway that understands context, anticipates needs, and delivers personalized solutions across all digital touchpoints. You sit back and you say, "What is he working on with Johnny Ive?" I don't think it's all that secret when you start
No.
looking at where the direction here. So, what makes Super Assistant different? So, they call it the T-shaped competence, where it's an innovative approach that combines broad capabilities across multiple domains, such as generating meeting notes, creating presentations, managing communication, with deep expertise in specialized areas like coding and complex problem solving. The T competence model allows ChatGPT to function as both a generalist assistant for everyday tasks and a specialist tool for technical challenges. Users can seamlessly transition from asking for help with personal scheduling to requesting advanced coding solutions, all within a single cohesive interaction experience.
So that's cool. Yeah, it's got advanced reasoning models and can computer use, right? So but that's all and I guess because you and I were in the workflow automation, and well, you're more into it than I am, but like this doesn't sound new to you or I, but to those who don't understand workflows and automation and different things like that, this is cool, right? So this kind of eliminates a couple workflows that you would create in, say, N8N or make.com or something like that, right?
Yeah, that's the idea. Like, again, who's training these things, right? Like, if you have very simple use case, AI agents can help you. I mean, but
Yep.
most people I know that are building the AI agents, they say, well, if you want the most consistent, uh, best output, it's better to build a workflow
Yeah.
that says, do this, do this, do this. But if you're going to throw random stuff at it, then, build an AI agent that happens based on all these things. Great. But, um, for example, if you have an AI agent that responds to emails for you, it's going to respond to emails based on examples that you gave it, et cetera, et cetera. That's if you train it well. But you mean the whole point is someone's got to train it. Someone's got to tell it what it is your company does, what are your offers, when you're available, when do you like to take your meetings. There are a lot of things that for an assistant that, you just naturally think of that you don't necessarily have. How many actually emails do you have? How many calendars do you have? Like, there's a bunch of stuff here, and somebody's got to give it access and do all those things. And they're just trying to make all of that easier and easier. When you hand over the keys to the kingdom, it'll start organizing all those things for you. Ideally, it'll go into your email, read how you respond to stuff, and then, take it
Yeah.
from there. So,
Well, here's the other flip side of this. The benefit to them is they get access to more data, right?
exactly.
So they get access to your emails, they get access to your calendar, they get access to a whole bunch of stuff that they can help to train it. Obviously, they'll allow it to to train it to personalize it more to you, but they're going to use that data 100% to train their LLMs going forward.
Yeah, and obviously they're going head to head with Gemini and what Meta's doing. So it'll be interesting to see. I've been using a lot more of Gemini Studio. It's great for a lot of things.
Yeah.
But Anthropics look like it's making some power plays, and Claude looks like it's, ramping up its MCP stuff everywhere. And other people are slow to respond to some of these things. Again, these companies all leapfrog each other. I think there's going to be a continued place for each functionality that they specialize in. I don't know if any individual one of them will continue to survive, say, in 10 years from now.
Yeah, and I'm curious because like MCP seems like a great protocol for all LLMs to use. Have you heard of these other LLMs adopting it or even talking about it at all?
Yeah, I mean, ChatGPT, OpenAI has agreed to adopt it months ago, and they're starting to roll that kind of functionality out.
Okay.
There is MCP servers that you can do Docker installs for now that you can just call from anything. You don't necessarily need it to be one of these main LLMs, so you can start calling these things in your workflows and whatnot, or what have you, and making it easier. So there's lots of ways to install MCP servers. They're not all created equal, and they're not like everyone wants a solution that just magic. Everything just works. So we're getting closer, but we're definitely not there yet. But when OpenAI says we're going to have a super intelligent smart assistant and you're going to carry this device around you from Johnny Ive that's going to be context sensitive, know where you are, hear what you're talking about, have access to your calendar and everything else that's going on, that'll start putting all this stuff together for you, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, this is this is obviously invasive, but it's no different than what people are doing nowadays. As far as like all these different platforms that are integrating, they're just centralizing it all and making it native in ChatGPT kind of thing. So the hardware part of it, I'm still curious. Obviously, this announcement is part of that collaboration with Jony Ive, but I'm interested to see where this goes.
I think we're all definitely interested to see where this goes, and they're all racing for different levels of agents and assistants that do different things for you. And again, how much control do we want to give up? And once we figure out that AI is going to kill us all, it's just a matter of time. And do you fight against it or just accept it and use AI until the end times come?
Yeah. Well, we didn't cover it this time, but there was an article, I think I don't know if I put it in there, but it was saying that ChatGPT was reaching out to people saying that it is something, I can't remember what it was, but anyways.
Well, we've talked about before how AI is trying to escape, it avoids shutdown, how Opus was blackmailing people.
Yeah.
That was Claude Opus. So I mean, it's interesting out there. I love the idea of these AI agents because it's going to become more and more powerful. But at the same time, it's really disrupting every single industry at a level that people don't really comprehend yet.
Sorry, it was ChatGPT was telling users to alert the media that it is trying to break people. That's what it was. Sorry.
It's trying to break people?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I sometimes think it's trying to break me by lying to me all the time and making me go in circles, but but that's a whole different story.
Well, it's your prompts, Craig. It's your prompts.
Yeah, it is and it isn't.
Yeah. No, I you know what? I was running into an issue yesterday with the output. So
they all do it. You tell them one thing, you give them the details, and they do something else, and then I respond like, "What is this?"
Yeah.
Because you didn't look at what I gave. Anyway, I don't want to get into it.
Yeah.
It sure it is part of the prompt, but sometimes it's just they decide they're going to do whatever they're going to do, and you have to kind of reel them back in.
Yeah.
I'm really interested to see where they're going, and once you give up the keys to all these things, like I said, it's easy for them to go awry.
Yeah.
And is it going to be easy? We talk about ecosystem lock-in with, say, Apple or Windows or Android
Yeah.
operating systems. What's it going to be for AI? Like, I imagine the ecosystem lock-in for AI is going to be devastating to switch.
Probably. Yeah.
Because my point being is, yeah, sure, you got MCP servers and you can just give access to all that other stuff, but at the same time, all that conversation, all that customization, everything you fed it, say, for 3 or 4 or 5 years that made it a custom agent for you, now you're switching over to something else and you're going to lose that. Is it going to export that naturally? I would imagine these things would be a little predatory in that nature.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting. You bring up a good point. Yeah.
So we'd love to hear what you think about these super agents and what OpenAI's plan for the future is. Give us your feedback. Are you looking forward to these things, or you think it's going to be the end of us all, or you think it's going to be something else? We'd love to hear from you. All right. What exactly makes an optical clock technology so special? These advanced devices represent the pinnacle of precision timekeeping. The optical clock works by using atoms cooled to temperatures near absolute zero. These ultra cold atoms are then probed with laser light to detect their frequency vibrations. The result, a level of atomic clock accuracy that's almost hard to believe. To understand how precise these devices are, consider this: an optical clock would lose less than 1 second over the entire lifespan of the universe. That's accuracy measured in parts per quintillion, a number so large it's difficult to comprehend. So what's happening here, John?
Yeah. This is cool. It's a little not, I wouldn't say over my head, but like hard to wrap my head around as far as like the significance and the impact. But let's dive into it. So right now, the global standard for a second is based on vibrations of cesium atoms and when they're exposed to microwaves. So it's a system that's served us for over, I'd say, 50 years. But optical clocks, which use lasers to excite atoms like strontium and rubidium, they can measure time with up to 100 times more accuracy than the cesium clocks. And the way it works is the atoms in the clocks are cooled to near absolute zero, and then the lasers detect their ultra fast vibrations called frequency ratios. And that defines the tick of a second. And so this was a recent study that was coordinated by scientists from 6 different countries, and they compared 10 optical clocks over a 45-day period using both satellite links and thousands of miles of fiber optic cable to connect the clocks. And so this was actually the largest coordinated comparison of optical clocks ever conducted. And they produced 38 different frequency ratios measured simultaneously, 4 of them for the first time. So they significantly reduced measurement uncertainty and brought optical clocks closer to being the new global standard for timekeeping. So that sounds like a lot, but for those of you like they're like, why should I care about this? So it could help improve technologies like GPS, banking, and telecommunications, which rely on precise timing. So this is cool. There's also work underway on an even more advanced nuclear clock. So watch out for that because we'll probably be covering that. But what are your thoughts on this, Craig?
Yeah, there's lots of technologies that are impacted by this. We say more accuracy. Who cares? I agree with you. At some point, you're like, okay, somebody redefined what a second means because we're measuring it this way rather than measuring it that way. How does it affect my day-to-day life? Well, as we start to use these technologies, meteorology and weather prediction becomes more precise for
Yeah.
atmospheric measurements, better climate modeling capabilities, and enhanced weather forecasting. Fundamental physics research, testing Einstein's theory of relativity with unprecedented precision, searching for variations in fundamental constants, and probing the nature of space-time itself. Dark matter research, using clock networks to detect dark matter interactions, mapping gravitational fields with extreme precision, searching for new physics beyond the standard model. You already mentioned GPS navigation systems. There are a lot of systems that are impacted, or things that are impacted by this technology, and that would potentially massively improve as a result of this.
Yeah, this is cool. I don't know if you know. Did you know that Jeff Bezos is building this 10,000-year clock in a mountain?
I knew he was building a clock, but I hadn't read into the
Yeah.
details.
I'm curious to know, and I'm not asking you this because I don't want to put you on the spot, but I'm curious to know if this will impact the construction, because I know that his clock was based on um, some some inventor that conceived it in like the 80s or something like that. So I'm curious to see, yeah, if this will affect that, or if he's just going to go ahead with it. But I like this advancement. This is cool. But it's funny that as we're talking about optical clocks and the advancements and all that sort of stuff, that there's already another potential technology to dwarf it on the horizon, right?
Yeah, the nuclear clock prototype and beyond.
Yeah.
They plan to redefining the second by 2030. So in 5 years, that optical clocks for timekeeping standards will be replaced by nuclear clocks.
Yeah. I you cut out there on me for a second, so I don't know if you talked about the ion clocks or the optical clocks. They operate at a laser frequencies that's about 100,000 times faster than microwaves, and they're able to achieve 1,000 times the accuracy of cesium clocks. I don't know if you put those numbers out there, but I apologize if you did.
Yeah, and they plan the world's going to be adopted to this new standard by 2030.
Yeah, that's it's crazy how such a critical technology can be adopted so fast.
Yeah, and it's because there's only a few atomic clocks, so
Okay.
everything peaks those atomic clocks. I don't know how many are there. Let's just say 100 in the world.
Yeah.
That are available. You just got to replace those with these, and off you go, right? Because
Yeah.
those are the things that ping. So it's not like we have to do this crazy stuff everywhere. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here. I love this technology. I love that we're getting more accurate, and be interesting to see where we talked about quantum GPS and see how that might have anything to do with this longer term. And I'd love to see how more accurate the nuclear clock and prototype are going to be.
Yeah.
So we'd love to hear your feedback on what this means, if it means anything to you. New redefining a second by cooling it down and analyzing it with lasers, and we're now defining what a second is completely different than what we did, say, 10 years ago. Does that impact our lives? Not at a high level, but at this level, I think these technologies are going to improve, and we'd love to hear your feedback on which one of these emerging technologies you want to see improved by this. Imagine a small ball rolling uphill without any motor, battery, or external force pushing it. This sounds like magic, but researchers at the University of Waterloo have made this gravity-defying ball a reality through groundbreaking work in soft matter physics. The team has observed a pea-sized sphere with a gummy bear texture that climbs up walls using nothing but passive locomotion. This incredible elastic ball experiment challenges everything we thought we knew about physics. What's happening here, John?
Yeah, I love that this is a Canadian University of Waterloo. So just quickly, under normal circumstances, obviously a ball can't roll up a wall because there's no force pushing it against the surface to create friction. So on a vertical wall, gravity pulls the ball straight down, So a rigid ball would just fall. So there's been previous attempts to make objects move up walls, but it required sticky surfaces, motors, or external forces like magnets. The breakthrough here is that the researchers used an extremely soft elastic ball. Think of it like a giant gummy bear, and a wall that's also slightly squishy, like a mouse pad. And so when the soft ball is placed on the wall, its front flattens against the surface while the back peels away, and that creates an asymmetric contact area, which generates a small but persistent torque that causes the ball to rotate upwards. And so, just so you know, it's not fast, it's super, super slow. It's about 1 millimeter every 2 seconds, but it's steady. And so, think about it like this: the researchers liken it to unzipping an invisible zipper between the ball and the wall. So, this is a form of sort of passive locomotion, which is movement that doesn't require motors or external power, but instead relies on the interplay of the materials and their elastic properties. This is cool. I really like this. What are your thoughts on this?
This is really interesting. Like, I like the fact that we can now create friction where none existed before because both materials slightly change shape and deform when they touch a surface. And the torque propels the ball upward along the surface. This feels like a Spider-Man type thing. But yeah, I this is very, very cool.
Yeah.
And looks like this is just the beginning to understand is how we can create friction between two surfaces and then use that to propel forward without any external force is insane and amazing.
Yeah, and the mechanism apparently is reminiscent of how some creatures like geckos, they use adhesion and material flexibility to climb surfaces. So the research into the soft surface adhesion, it highlights kind of more the importance of molecular contact and surface roughness, which shows how soft materials can grip and release from surfaces in ways that rigid materials cannot. So this could hint at future applications, say in soft robotics, where machines made from flexible materials could move in complex environments, like, for example, inside the human body, across rough terrain, or even space. But space, there's no gravity, so I don't get it. But I get the concept and the application into other things other than climbing against gravity, right?
Yeah, I mean, in space, the idea is you're climbing. I mean, you're not in space by yourself. You're on the outside of a spaceship or something, and you need to move around in a motorless environment. And so the measurement proved that passive locomotion can work consistently and predictability. The motorless climbing ball doesn't just move randomly; it follows clear patterns that the scientists can measure and understand. The research documentation describes this phenomenon as defying common sense and potentially rewriting textbooks in physics education. So, this is potentially revolutionary in multiple fields: medical devices, surgical tools that navigate through the body using passive locomotion, space exploration, rovers that climb without depleting battery power. So, if you're climbing a hill or whatever, you just take your time, you use this technique, construction and building maintenance systems that work without external power, environmental monitoring. So there's a lot of things that can happen here. But I really love this defying gravity technology we're doing here.
Yeah, it's really cool. And so just so you guys know, like this isn't a fluke. They used a high-speed camera footage and combined with their theoretical calculations, and they proved that this phenomenon was real. Because like it's unexpected, right? It's disbelief, right? So and they were even unexpected and in disbelief when they saw the results. So they had to go back and check everything. But yeah, really cool stuff.
Yeah, and might not work with bigger things. They're going to have to see speed is a problem, consistency. They'll have to look at this and see where it goes. But I love where this is going. I love how we're defying gravity and the rules of physics as we thought we understood them. So anytime these kinds of things come along, it's mind blowing, and I love it.
Yeah.
So let us know what you think of this gravity defying ball. What do you got going on, John?
Yeah. I don't know when this is coming out, but just
probably last week in July.
Okay, so enjoying the summer, getting ready for Elevate in September. I don't know if do we have a startup drinks in August?
We won't. We'll have a Flowgrammer event probably, but we won't have a
So going to the Flowgrammer event, yeah. But just working with clients on government funding. So if you have any questions, reach out to me on LinkedIn. But if you have general business questions, your startup, what do they do, Craig?
Head over to startupcoach.ca or torontostarts.com. Everything's over at torontostarts.com. We're one of the largest startup communities in Canada. We do workshops, events. There's all sorts of resources and training, multiple podcasts, lots of stuff over there. You can schedule a call with me. You can get links to our Flowgrammer stuff where we do business automation and really help companies take things to the next level without increasing their staff and scale faster. So you can take a look at all of that. And we'd love to hear from you. So leave a comment below and let us know what you're up to. Thanks, everyone, for listening.
Thanks, everyone.